Hello and welcome to Pump the Brakes. Hey, Dave.
Hello, Michael. We are 10-2, another win.
That's crazy to say, huh?
It is. I mean, before we get to pumping the brakes, I do think it's important to take a moment to recognize just how insane it is that in 12 weeks the Patriots are 10-2 after where they've been and what we expected this season. So no matter what we have to say on this podcast, no matter how harsh the brake pumping gets, it's still quite an accomplishment so far. I didn't see this coming for sure, and I don't think most people did.
I know I didn't. I was expecting a Super Bowl, but I wasn't expecting a Super Bowl.
Expecting a Super Bowl, just not 10-2, a little struggle.
Yeah, 10-2 is where I draw the line, No, it's nuts. Listen, good teams win bad games. And the
Yes.
Patriots are a good team that won a bad game. What did it cost us? Everything.
I see you've brought some fool's gold with you for today's episode as well in the
Oh,
background. That's
yes.
great. That's
Courtesy of Cam Newton.
yes, great for the vibes. Yeah, I mean,
So,
I agree with you. This week, this game, as big picture overview, I think hopefully serves a bit as a wake-up call for this team, just who is rightfully riding high after 9 straight wins, but there's so much that needs to be buttoned up looking forward, prospectively at what's ahead of them. That, to your point, this game, it was tough at times.
it was not an enjoyable watch, right? Especially in the beginning. Like Drake May looked bad. He was airmailing throws that he normally makes. The defense, against a really shitty defense. And then suddenly the injuries started to pile up. Our defense didn't look that good against the dog shit Bengals. Like, just nothing about that game looked particularly good, except for when Drake May got it together and led a couple of drives and scored some points. But then they never felt like they never put the game away. It was still very close at the end. Just wasn't. On the one hand, we're 10-2, and like we beat a bad team. On the other hand, like our expectations are much higher than they were. And this game, I would say, did not meet my expectation for the 2025 New England Patriots
Yeah.
as of November 26th.
I completely agree with you. And I think what was so frustrating about this game was, to me, it was really sort of a manifestation of all of the inherent risks that we've been bringing up that comes with punching above your weight class. And I don't say that to mean that this discrete game against the Bengals was that. In fact, it was playing down to your competition, if anything.
What are we, the Steelers?
Right. One of the themes of this year that we've covered ad nauseum is sort of this disconnect between expectation and reality now. Like what echelon this team is on paper versus the echelon of teams they've sort of been placed in rightfully by expectation, changing from stacking wins with, some help from the schedule, but they do have 10 wins. They're the first to 10 wins this season. And so you sort of saw the manifestation of all of those risks. We talked about, well, they have a lack of depth. Well, now the injuries have come. They have an unsustainably high level of quarterback play. Well, the quarterback didn't play too well, to your point in this game. The run defense was all world. Well, the run defense is no longer all world. So you add that with an inefficient running game, red zone failures, not putting teams away. This is the margin of error. This is our margin for error. This is sort of the risk inherent in being a team that's ahead of schedule when we look forward to more meaningful games and better teams. And so it's a little frightening.
Right. Yeah, because previously, I think previous years, the Patriots, when the Patriots were an elite team, this is when they would start to round into form, right? They were started playing better and better towards the end of November and December. And you see that around, there's teams right now that are starting to heat up a bit as they, figure out their stuff. Like the Rams have gotten better as the season has progressed. Whereas right now, it kind of feels like the Patriots are sliding, kind of spinning out a little bit.
Yeah,
Right?
I
You're
think
starting to see the cracks, and it
yes.
hasn't cracked yet, but you're starting to see the cracks.
Yeah, and more concerning is I think you're seeing some consistency with those cracks. Like they're starting to show up week after week, which is a concern. Now, I don't change where I'm at with this team. I still think that they're a good football team and that they can hang with and potentially beat anyone in the AFC. But like you said, we're starting to see the cracks. And so looking forward, you can start to see how this team might get eliminated in playoff contention. That's not to say that they will or they're not going to win a playoff game, but these are be the reasons why if they do. But ultimately,
Right.
you did win this game. So, you said it earlier. good teams win bad games, even against bad teams. Buffalo lost this game to Miami a few weeks back, you
True,
know? So
true.
that's a positive.
But
And
I don't think Buffalo's a good team.
they're not, but they're your competition. And so, I mean, relative to everybody else, they're a good enough team. And
They're a
that's,
pretty good team.
yeah. And you have them coming soon. So that'll be a great test.
That's going to be a huge test.
And winning this game matters. Like I know you said at what cost, and in one sense, you don't get to make that decision, right? That's life, that's football. Injuries happen. We can't trade wins for health, but you did win the game. And so that's one less win you have to check off as you hopefully get healthier heading towards the
True.
playoffs.
No, that's a really good point. And you texted me that during the game. You're like, we just win the game.
Yep.
That's
Win the game, worry
win the
about
game.
left tackle tomorrow, I think was what I said,
Yeah.
because you can't
So
lose the season today.
right. Listen, the elephant in the room is that the left side of our line has got beat to hell. We're like Wilson and Campbell are, the hopes and dreams of a franchise are questionable. I mean, I believe Will Campbell went to IR today.
He did. And, I think those are big injuries. I do think you can survive them, at least for a stretch of time. I'm more worried about Campbell's injury because of what Campbell means to this team, but I'm more concerned about the injury itself to Wilson, if that makes sense. So Campbell being out is worse for the team. The injury sustained by Wilson, I think, is trickier in that, I know from experience, and I also think in the football world, high ankle sprains are very tough to fight. They could be quick. You could think you're coming back. You can have a setback. You can have a re-injury. So that's something to monitor with him. He may be back sooner, but he may not be back for good with an injury like that. Those high ankle sprains are very tricky. With Campbell,
That's difficult.
yeah, with Campbell, it seems like he's going on the IR. He's going to miss some time. There's no rush to have him come back in the regular season, I think. Save him to get healthy. Honestly, both of these guys, let's get healthy at the right time. We'll see you back in the playoffs. 6 weeks from now is when I would love to see them ready to play again. And you're in a different position this year with your coaching staff than you've been in previous years. I sort of trust this coaching staff to augment their use of personnel to support this offensive line as they get through this stretch. You haven't had good offensive line coaching at least since McDaniels left for Vegas, arguably since Scarnecchia left
Since
before that.
Skornecchia left,
Right.
yeah, I would say.
After that, Belichick hires Matt Patricia to coach offensive line. He brings in Adrian Clem from college, who was an abject disaster, maybe the worst assistant hire other than making Patricia offensive coordinator of Bill's time in New England. Scott Peters was not effective last year with Mayo and Van Pelt. They left
Who would have thought?
yeah, they left Vidarian Lowe and Demontre Jacobs on an island all the time last year, pass blocking.
Yeah.
So I think McDaniels and Doug Marrone and Mike Vrabel and crew will do a better job this time around. Now, to help your left tackle out, that's a resource allocation problem, right? The easiest way to do that, leave a tight end to help him block. But we've seen
But who tight Hunter Henry is our quarterback's number one target.
Right. We've seen when things get hairy, where does Drake May turn to get back on schedule? It's one of two places. It's Diggs or it's the tight ends usually, right? And so that's where the
Yeah.
resource allocation becomes a problem. How much are you willing to take that passing threat out of the passing game to help your offensive line? It's going to be a balancing situation.
Yeah. It'd be great if we had a running game.
It really would be great if we had a running game. And one thing of note, too, that's I think different from previous McDaniels stops with the New England or times with New England is this is not a quick passing game like it used to be. And that can help in protecting the quarterback and protecting the offensive line from exposure. This is a deep ball passing game. And so Drake May holds on to the ball a lot longer than a Tom Brady does. That will be an adjustment. But on the flip side,
Yeah.
I think that the single biggest attribute or thing that has helped raise the level of play for this offensive line this year is Drake May and his play and his ability to evade the rush and extend plays. So I have faith that they're going to be able to survive this at least in the short term.
Yeah. Let's talk about how the offense did.
Yeah, one last note on the offensive line. I'm not as concerned with Jared Wilson being out because I think Ben Brown is, at least at the points they are in their careers, respective careers, pretty similar players. Ben Brown has been solid in backup role in spot starting. He was solid when he came in earlier in the year for Wilson. So I don't hate Ben Brown as a backup swing interior offensive lineman. Vidarian Lowe to be determined. I think the biggest issue with him last year though was penalties. It felt like more than the actual blocking itself. Hopefully he plays a little bit more disciplined. Demontre Jacobs was the real problem last year, the right tackle. He was just atrocious, not an NFL player.
Fair enough. Go back. Yeah. Fair enough. We don't hate Ben Brown.
We don't hate Ben Brown.
We don't hate Matt Brown. I mean, I don't know. He had a few fuck ups, but I mean,
He
he was
was not,
hot.
yeah, he was not good in this game when he came in, but generally
Yeah.
speaking, I have a more favorable opinion of him than unfavorable.
Okay. Well, speaking of not being good in this game, let's talk about the Patriots offense.
Yeah, yeah. This was, I mean, you talked about it at the start, how the beginning of this game was, it was tough. And I didn't really think it was the direct result of anything the Bengals did. To me, at least in the first three drives, it just really felt like Drake May was off. Everything was just high or wide.
The
Even those
timing was off, it felt.
Yeah, the timing was off, the accuracy was off. Even some of the balls he completed early, there was one to Diggs that was just kind of wide and in the dirt a little bit. There was the one where the throw kind of went between two offensive players. It seemed like he almost decided mid-release he was going to change where he was going with the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah, yeah, when it was between like Henry and Travion.
Yeah, so it was just a very strange start from May. He did even out afterwards, and this isn't a very talented Bengals defense, so it allowed him the opportunity. He still finished with a season high in passing yards,
Yeah. I
but it was a
mean,
tough start.
historically poor Bengals
Yeah,
defense. But
yeah,
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
listen, that happens. I think that happens to quarterbacks. Sometimes you have a slow start. You have to get the rust off, 10-day, too much vacation, too long of a break.
yeah,
That's what it
well,
is. That's
especially
what
with
it was.
a young quarterback. I mean, I do think with the way he's playing, that can get lost sometimes, is the context of where he's at in his career. And these things happen. Guys start out, they have tough starts a game. Luckily, this tough start in a game came against the Cincinnati Bengals and not, the Denver Broncos. Bengals did do some interesting things defensively that I think we'll see carry over into future weeks because I did think, at least schematically, while it may not have had the desired result ultimately, it did do some things to challenge the Patriots offense in ways that it hasn't been challenged consistently. One of the things they did was we talked about last week, Drake May's command of his protection scheme. They started bringing in a late blitzer at the very end, right before he would snap the ball. A couple times you'd see the safety in particular, Geno Stone, would come down to the
Yeah.
offensive line right before the snap. One time they even had to call a timeout in the red zone because they were
Yeah, it
thrown
was
off by it.
hmm, interesting. But okay. But I mean, hopefully, but this is the nice thing about having good coaching is that McDaniels will adjust.
Yes, absolutely. And some other things they did was, they played more man coverage, which I think is necessary against a quarterback like Drake May, more stickier coverage. If there's anything these receivers struggle with, it's natural separation, I think, in man-to-man coverage. And so that makes his life a little bit tougher. Getting pressure with just four guys in combination with man coverage as well, which allows you to drop more guys back. They dropped eight into coverage a few times, similar to what Todd Bowles did with the Buccaneers. And they also doubled Stephon Diggs on some third downs in this game, which took him away from Drake May as a safety
Smart.
blanket. Yeah, it was. I thought the game plan they had was smart. I think, unfortunately for them, they are, at the end of the day, limited by their personnel. There was that sick throw, though, he's always good for at least one absolute sicko throw. And to me, it was the one to Demario Douglas in the middle of the field, in between a safety and a linebacker. It was just nuts. I mean, that throw was nuts.
That was a crazy throw. That was
Yeah.
nuts. How does he do it?
Just an
I mean,
otherworldly
good on
talent, man.
Demario Douglas for catching it, even. But just the throw. It lands, and he just does it so good.
Yeah, which makes the start of the game all that more confounding. I mean, I saw someone posit maybe it was just the sun, and to be honest with you, wouldn't rule it out with the way he was throwing the ball because they switched sides and all of a sudden he was fine.
Interesting. Yeah, get my man a visor.
Someone goes, well, he won't wear eye black. He'll look too menacing, and Drake doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, this isn't. He's not 9 out there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The statistical worst first round draft pick since Zach Wilson. Nine.
Yeah, not
This
JJ McCarthy, but nine really sucks.
the run game, to your point earlier, like this team just can't run the ball
Yeah,
and it's not consistent and nothing has changed from where we were back, against Tennessee talking about this team where it's a combination of the blocking and the running backs. And it's
Patterson does seem more alive.
he's more alive. I do think he's playing better generally. He still has like these vision fits where like he just runs right into a blocker or something. It's just not consistent enough. And the offensive line they're getting either beat at the line of scrimmage sometimes. The second level blocking is still not totally there. It's this
Or
ebb
their
and
name is
flow.
Mike Onwenu, and it's all of the above.
Yeah, Ike Onwenu, I mean, he blows, man. Like I'm over it. For what he gets paid, seeing him get blown up sometimes at the line of scrimmage, he's not athletic. They tried that tush push in that pitiful red zone series, and like
Awful.
to do that, you just have to be really, you have to be low man. Like you got to get the lowest leverage, and his fat ass just can't get low enough. You should be able to ride your $20 million guard for a 1 yard touchdown run, but that's too much to ask on this team, I guess. And having Bradbury next to him in the run game is not great because his ass gets blown up too in the run. So, we
Weakest
talked.
offensive line in the league.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. They don't have glass eaters. They don't have tone setters. You lost your best, your maybe your only tone setter. That's not to throw Morgan Moses under the bus, but he's more of a finesse blocker than he is, this road grading sort of badass. And so, Onwenu to me, I can't wait for them to move on from him.
To say the red zone offense has been terrible. We've been, I believe we are we had like 15 attempts to score,
They
something
had
like that.
6 attempts from the 1 yard line alone in that
Wild.
segment of plays, and you couldn't
No,
get
and listen,
1 yard.
we entered the week 26th in success rate, 25th at the 20-yard line, 25th in success rate at the 10, and 30th inside the 2. And we've only gotten worse.
No doubt
This
it got
team
worse.
has a red zone problem.
They absolutely have a red zone problem. And the interesting thing to me was it didn't feel schematic. It felt like execution. Like they tried to do everything in that series of red zone plays.
Yeah.
They ran dives. They ran an RPO. They ran a tight end fade. They tried to get into boot action. They tried to do a tush push, but none of it, no execution, whether it was a pick play, whether it was blockers getting blown up at the line of scrimmage on the run, whether it was May misreading the RPO, whether it was Onwenu stepping on his foot. It was just every play, it was poor execution. The only thing from a schematic standpoint that I would question is I didn't remember Henderson getting a carry down there. It was Jennings and it was Stevenson. And I would have loved to see
Yeah,
Henderson get one.
why do you not give it to your most explosive player?
Yeah, it beats me. He's your best hammer right now, and I don't know why you're putting Terrell Jennings in there in that spot. It's too cute to me. That's part of, I think, been a problem in the red zone, especially this close, is they've been getting really cute with the clock and everything too, and not dialed in on just scoring goddamn points. And credit to the Bengals. I mean, but the first three drives of this game and that series in the red zone, they out executed the Patriots, especially that red zone series. And Geno Stone, again, who I think was the one who had the pick six, made two big plays against the run in that red zone series where you came away with no points. So credit to
Yeah.
them there.
Listen, they're still an NFL football team, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but at the end of the day, like, look, we had a shitty game, but we still put up 400 yards. It was the highest passing yardage of May's season. Like, we won the game or 26 points. If you had said that to me in the beginning of this year, be like, hey, we're gonna beat the Bengals and score 26 points. I'd be like, wow, we're doing great.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take it, and to our earlier discussion, it's like it's one less win you have to worry about getting as things get tighter and the games get more impactful. I just wish we had seen them put this team that, I can understand playing slow. I can understand the Bengals giving you a hard time. I wish they could have just put them away though. And this was another game, that red zone series midway through the third quarter. I think you're up 17-13. That's another series where you could have put a team away if you just scored a touchdown. And they didn't. And it results in you having to play to the final whistle to win this game.
Exactly.
That was frustrating.
Yeah, it was. But listen, we relied on our defense and our defense delivered.
Yeah, I thought generally the defense was okay. They gave up one touchdown in this game and it was late in sort of desperation mode for the Bengals. I thought the Bengals should have run more. It felt like they ran at will, or at least on schedule whenever they wanted to. This was another game
Yeah.
where you had a primary ball carrier over 5 yards a carry. I don't know why they
Yeah,
abandoned
nuts.
the run.
Well, because our explosive offense put us ahead.
That's true. It did put us ahead, and that's where it gets too late. But they should have run more earlier when Flacco's throwing interceptions that change the complexion of the game because he's allergic to checkdowns, as he has been his entire life. I mean, I remember him on the Ravens. It felt like you're just waiting for Torrey Smith or somebody deep to pull a defensive pass interference so that the Ravens could get a new set of downs. He hates checking the ball down so much so that he telegraphed it to Marcus Jones, which is a great instinctual play by Marcus Jones. But yeah, the run defense again for another week was not good. And I think you're missing Milton Williams for sure. And then that in combination with Tonga going out early in the game, he's probably your best run defensive lineman or defensive tackle that you have
Is he
right now.
okay?
That's a good question. I mean, there's not been much reported on his injury. It doesn't seem like he's going to be out for an extended period of time. It was chest, I think. So,
Yeah,
hopefully he got the wind knocked out of him or something like that. It's not a peck or anything like that, but I'm hopeful Tonga will be back out there. The guy who started rotating in his stead, Gregory was not very good. Durden was all right.
no.
Gregory was not. And to me, I think the problem with the run defense is you're just not getting as much at the line of scrimmage out of these guys as you were in previous weeks, certainly at the beginning of the season. And, I'm hopeful it's fatigue. You've played 12 straight games without a week off. Maybe that bye week is helpful, but it's very clear that the interior defensive line and linebacker play in the run has deteriorated over the last few weeks.
I mean,
You can
listen,
see
we
it.
lost our key guys, and we've played some tough offenses. Well, not really, but yeah.
I mean, this Bengals offense was an efficient running offense coming into the
Okay,
game.
and so are the Jets, I believe,
And
right?
so are the Jets. I mean, they don't run a lot because they're often down, and so that can play into their efficiency. But this defense has played markedly worse. I mean, they're bottom 10 in run stuff rate the last 2 weeks. They're bottom 8 in yards before contact per attempt the last 2 weeks in the league. So
Terrible.
running backs are getting yardage before anyone is getting off a block to make contact with them as a defender. And it also goes the same for the edge players in setting an edge as well. They're not being effective there.
Hopefully they're just tired, right? Hopefully
Yes.
this is just like it's fatigue, it's exhaustion, it's not having a bye until week 14, which is I think that's good, right? If we can win one more game and go into the bye and get some rest and, come out fresh for Baltimore and Buffalo, would be ideal.
Yeah. Especially for those edge players with Chasen and Landry, who are sort of older players. It doesn't feel like right now you're getting anything out of your edge players, in my opinion. You're getting no pressure against a statuesque old quarterback in Joe Flacco. It wasn't until very late in the game when they started dialing up big time pressure that you started seeing it become effective. For the season, opponents have the seventh highest time to throw rate in the league against this defense. You are not disrupting the pass with your defensive front this year. And it feels like it's getting less effective as time goes on. So, again, another thing where hopefully fatigue is the primary culprit, but it hasn't been very reassuring.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I guess like they started dialing up more pressure at the end. Why weren't they doing that earlier?
I think they were a little worried about this pass game just from a volume and production standpoint. I do think they respected Joe Flacco in the pass game. They played a ton of zone in this game,
Hmm.
which sort of just sitting back there and letting them move down the field a little bit and not give up the big play. It was a very high rate of zone they played this week. I think when you play Baltimore and Buffalo, and maybe if you see Jackson Dart this week, depending on who's at quarterback, you'll see more man in coming weeks. I was looking at their rates of man versus zone. They played outside of week one, their two highest man usage rates were against Josh Allen and Justin Fields. So more mobile quarterbacks. And you have Allen and
Interesting.
Lamar coming up.
And are we better at man?
I think so. Man is better against more mobile quarterbacks like Fields or Allen because it's easier for you to contain. It's easier for you to disrupt passing timing. You can generate a pass rush with sort of stickier coverage in the back end, coverage sacks. It gives you some time to generate pressure. And so I think those are the reasons why you'll see more man. I would like to see more man because I think, at least from the corner position, you have the ability to do it and you have the
Well, as
ability to
long
play
as
more aggressive.
yeah, I mean, as long as Christian Gonzalez remembers that he's a top cornerback in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he might be the kind of guy who plays up or down to his competition, which is not ideal out of what could potentially be a $30 million corner. But it feels to me like it's the games where he's not at his best are like last week against the Jets, this week against the Bengals, where he's getting beat by A.D. Mitchell and whoever that guy was that scored a touchdown in this game, who I've never heard of before, and I bet you I will never hear of again. Is it Mitch Wilson? Is that what his name was? Who knows? He's going to be delivering packages for UPS this holiday season because I don't know who he is, but he burned Gonzalez on that touchdown. I mean, if there's a positive, this was probably Carlton Davis's best game as a Patriot. There was the bad penalty Otherwise, he really locked down, especially at the end of that game, and played well. But yeah, I think you can play more man as the schedule gets tougher, as the quarterbacks get better. I don't know if maybe they're holding out on some of that stuff. There is an element with both the offense and defense of maybe there's some things they've been holding out, which is on offense, more RPO stuff. I think you might see more of that, especially in the red zone, and then more,
as we get closer to like the playoffs.
yeah, as you play Buffalo, as the stakes get higher and you need to be able to pull some rabbits out of your hat, they're saving some of those rabbits. They're not showing everybody these things. And so I wonder if you saw a red zone RPO against the Bengals because they're getting desperate to score an effing touchdown in the red zone. And so they're just trying to do something to put a game away, but they haven't been running them consistently. And so I think that's an element that could still be added.
Yeah, I feel like Drake May's got legs, and that would really take advantage of his whole ability to run and not, be Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and also not have to just, if you're going to have a run play, not just have to run it straight up the guard or the center's ass. Have a little misdirection, put the defense in conflict a little bit.
So
And then
yeah,
like I said, on defense, mixing in more man could be something you see down.
yeah. I want to give Andy Borregales more credit.
Absolutely.
He's really stepped up. You don't win this game if you don't have a good kicker,
Absolutely. This is a
hands down.
game. This is a game where a bad kicker costs you for sure. He made some big kicks, important kicks. It's been, since week 2. That was the one time I think that most of us fell down on him. They raised him up. They pumped his tires. Vrabel gave him a game ball, and it's been, full
Brakes
steam
are
ahead
cut on
since.
the
Yeah.
Andrew Borregales train. All right, playing how we beat the Giants.
It's a weird.
Give
So
some
this,
hope.
yeah, I mean, it's a weird Giants team, right? It's kind of hard to get a sense of who they are and what they do. There's so much change happening this year with them.
A weirdly
Offensively,
good team.
yeah, they have talent, and it seems like
They beat the
things.
Eagles.
They did beat the Eagles, and they can beat you. They almost beat the Lions. From an offensive perspective, first it'll depend on who you get at quarterback. We don't. There's a chance you see Jackson Dart. If you see Jackson
I'm
Dart,
cheering it's Dart.
he's progressing through concussion protocol, they said. If it's Jackson Dart, you're going to see much more running out of the quarterback. And I think you could see more man coverage because of that. I think I might feel better actually if it were Jackson Dart than Jameis Winston because of the inexperience of Dart. I do think this defense could dial some things up to confuse him a little bit and take advantage of the inexperience. With Jameis, there's just such a wild variance, man. I mean, it's unlike any other quarterback really in modern times. You could have a game where he throws no touchdowns and 4 picks, or you could have last week where he's the highest rated passer in the league, most efficient passer in the league. So
That man, I mean, the man plays. The man goes out there, he plays.
he
He goes
does.
out there,
He's a
he
football
leaves
player,
it,
that's for sure.
he leaves it all on the field.
Yeah, whether you want him to or not, it's all being left
Yeah,
out there one way or another. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see from that perspective. They're sort of an uneven running game, so maybe you can get right a little bit on the run defense. Defensively is another area where, let's see what we get from them. They just fired their defensive coordinator this week. So, and a coordinator who is
yeah.
very, very familiar with your operations, a close friend of Mike Vrabel and Shane Bowen, who's been fired. Maybe you have a new look. I don't, some new wrinkles, I'm sure, could get added. The Lions ran all over him. I mean, I heard Mina Kimes
I
from,
know.
yeah.
I was facing Jameer Gibbs in fantasy that week.
Oh, then you know better than anybody that they get run all over. I was listening to ESPN, or I don't know, I heard a clip from ESPN come on the radio, and it was Mina Kimes. It was great. But she's saying, with the left side of the line out and this Giants defense being so porous against the run, well, the Patriots have gotten Travion Henderson going. Well, they're just going to run on them. And it's like, with all due respect, national people, I don't think you're watching the Patriots every week because this is not the first bad run defense they've played. And they just can't run the football. Like, it's not as
I
simple. It's not as simple as Travion Henderson just runs over a bad team. Like, if that were the case, we wouldn't have a bad running game at this point, and we do. And so, what benefit of the doubt am I going to
Travion
give him?
Henderson might have an explosive 50-yard run for a touchdown, though.
He might, and he also might have a great game. They might have an efficient running game for once. The possibility will remain open. I'm not even going to close the door on the idea that they may end up being a better run blocking team this week with the 2 new linemen on the left side than they were previously, because Jared Wilson has been very up and down as a run blocker. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast about his functional strength, about the second level blocking. There have been reps where Will Campbell loses in the run game. Early in the season, that was where people were most surprised he was struggling, was in the run game. So I don't rule out that you might actually end up getting a better push here and there in this game. And not expecting it, but I'm not ruling it out either. Could change things up a little bit.
No, that'd be interesting. I mean, I'm starting Travion Henderson, so I mean,
Good luck.
please,
Yeah.
please,
And
please run
and
the ball.
and you talked about earlier in the podcast their defensive front. I mean, between Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Abdul Carter, I think those are all guys you really have to respect. And I think it would have been a tough matchup with those guys without the injuries. So it's going to be as tough or tougher with the injuries now as well. So
Just gotta have faith in Darian Lowe, dude.
yeah, and
Fuck me.
the primetime Patriots, right? They gotta come out like they have in two previous primetime games and really dictate the terms of the game and perform at a high level. So they should win this game.
You're
They
right.
absolutely can lose the game. But this would be another great game to add to the win column with some tougher ones. We've talked ad nauseum about Buffalo and Baltimore, and we'll continue to do it as they get closer. And then you have another tough one with Miami, in my opinion, towards the end of the
Yeah,
season. But
100%. Miami's
win,
no slouch.
yeah, win a game you should win again. That's the key.
Yeah.
Keep
No,
rolling.
we really need this. We really need this dub, baby. James Winston's like, you don't need to manipulate me. I will throw that interception.
Yeah, he's gonna do. It's all up to him. He does the manipulating, whether it's of you or himself. He doesn't decide until real
His
time.
metric for success is yards that the ball travels in the air.
Did you see there was a clip of him taking a fake knee? He takes a snap, he drops, like fake drops to a knee, and it's like, I don't know, 2 minutes and change left in the game. It didn't make any sense for the situation. It didn't make any sense in the stream of the play, but he just for some reason wanted to fake taking a knee before finishing his drop back.
I love he's such a ridiculous person that like for years they tried to coach it out of him, but he's like, no.
No, no. That it was the one season where he had how many interceptions? It was just
It's like 30 and 30,
yeah,
right?
30 and 30 at quarterback is just wild.
Wild.
Pray for the Lord to deliver me from these pick sixes. It's an all-time quote, man. So I mean, I love
Well,
Jameis. You gotta love him.
no, he's amazing. This week we're gonna eat some W's, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll give a great pump-up speech one way or another.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean, the Colts. It was a big loss for the Colts in Arrowhead.
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure who to root for because I hate the Chiefs. The
Collapse. I
Chiefs.
mean, I've maintained this season that if your goal is Super Bowl, then it's one seed or bust. And if
Yeah,
that's what you want, then the outcome was the right outcome for us, that the Chiefs
true.
beat the
True.
Colts.
Because yeah,
It knocks the Colts down a game in the one seed hunt. It was also an exposure of Daniel Jones. I
oh, I'm
think
sorry. Did you think this was about Drake May?
yeah,
Oh
there's
no.
Daniel Jones and his fool's gold because he was
Should
dog shit
oh
in that fourth quarter and overtime. The Chiefs,
he
he
was.
turned right back into a pumpkin. The Chiefs mixed. I watched all the offensive snaps from the Colts in the fourth quarter and overtime just to see how it looked. And the Chiefs mixed pressure. They brought blitz sometimes, they didn't. It had him totally sped up. He was inaccurate. And they stuffed the run on a couple of plays, and that was it. 3 punts in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is not a guy.
No, he is not
I
Drake
mean,
May.
he's their guy.
Yeah,
He's no Drake May.
he is no Drake May, and he never will be. Never will
I
be.
know. Thank fucking
He's
God.
he's never even been as good as
Oh
Drake
man.
May is right now. So
He's not even as
the both but the Broncos still have the Chiefs one more time, right?
they got the Jags, the Packers, and the Chargers.
Yeah, and the
So they have a
Colts
tough last four.
Colts still have one or two against the Texans as well, and one against the Jags.
The
So they have
Texans are going to be a scary team when Stroud comes back.
keep the Texans defensive front away from Drake May. I don't want anything to
That's
do with that. The way that Josh Allen went down on some of those sacks, that's Drake May head against the turf. He's not coming back in the way he's built. So keep those
no,
fuckers away. They are scary
oh, you
defensive unit. I think
right,
like
100%.
between the Broncos defense and the Texans defense are the two scariest singular units in the AFC playoff picture to me. That's offense, defense, special teams of any teams. Broncos defense, Texans defense, 1 and 2.
Yeah, 100%. Everything else is yeah. Okay, let's go get that one seed.
Yeah, screw
I
the
know we say
Giants.
fuck the Jets, but the Giants have hurt us more.
Oh, way more pain inflicted by them. It's just not as much proximity, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jets is little brother. It's just shitting on, the redheaded stepchild or your little brother or something.
exactly.
F them. Let's go win another game in prime time.
All right. Fuck the Giants. This has been Pump the Brakes with Dave and Mike.
Go Pats.
Go Pats.